New York's #1 news. Channel 7. Witness News.
Coming up on Eyewitness News First at 4, the growing outrage about one American city letting suspects go free in a domestic abuse cases. Well, outrage over a decision not to prosecute domestic violence cases has the city of Topeka reconsidering the move. Victims advocates across the country fearful a precedent was set after Topeka voted to no longer prosecute domestic violence cases in order to save money. The city council voted to rescind the ordinance in Kansas's capital city last night as protesters rallied outside. The law would have meant some people who are arrested for domestic violence crimes could be set free and not prosecuted. Its members say they had to react to severe budget cuts and wanted to shift the prosecution of the crimes to county or state courts. But critics say the repeal puts lives in danger.
They're not sure what's going to happen if they call law enforcement. If they have called the police and their partner has been arrested, they're not sure what's going to happen next. It's just another barrier to safety for victims.
It seems maybe hard-hearted to, if you look at the surface of repealing your ordinance against domestic battery. Well, you know, we don't have an ordinance against murder either, but that doesn't make us a pro-murder city.
Of 35 domestic violence cases reported in Topeka since last month, 18 suspects have been released from jail without being charged.
Well, joining us now to talk about this is Liz Roberts of Safe Horizon, an organization that helps victims of domestic violence. And I can only imagine that victims advocates, Liz, like yourself, must be hugely relieved by this last-minute 180. But are you worried that essentially the die has been cast and other communities could actually consider a similar move?
Well, certainly, this whole story has been very troubling. We work with thousands of victims of domestic violence here in New York City every year at Safe Horizon, and what we hear from victims is that it's so critical for them to know that if they report domestic violence, that the police, the prosecutors, and the courts will take the crime seriously and will take action, coordinate action to protect them. And so a story like this really raises questions about the level of priority that has been being given to the needs of victims of domestic violence.
You know, Liz, this case in Topeka comes down to the town saying, look, the county prosecutor's better equipped to deal with these kind of cases than we are, so they should be in charge of taking care of it, not us. Meanwhile, they're the ones getting all the press, the bad press as a result. Could a thing like that ever happen here in New York City?
Well, fortunately, here in New York, our local leaders and our state leaders have demonstrated their commitment to victims of domestic violence repeatedly. But I think, again, a story like this is a reminder to all of us. We need to hold our leaders accountable for continuing that commitment and taking the needs of victims seriously, especially in difficult budget times like these.
The fact that something could even pass, albeit temporarily, what do you think it says about how people view domestic violence?
Well, I think it worries us because there was, of course, a time in this country when domestic violence was treated as a family matter and when the police did not respond aggressively, and none of us want to go back to that time. And a decision, a story like this, raises questions about whether people think that this is something we can walk away from.
And what do you come away from a story like this with right now?
Well, I want to urge anybody in the New York area who is experiencing domestic violence to know that there is help available, and Safe Horizon and other nonprofit organizations can provide confidential support and information. If you call 311 in New York City, you can be connected directly to our hotline.
All right, Liz, thanks. Liz Roberts, Chief Program Officer with Safe Horizon, the Victims Assistance Agency. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much. A lot of people talking about this story today. And still ahead on Eyewitness News.